Taifa Stars of Time, October 23. The match will be played at this. The match will be played by 30 p.m. Nigerian time at the FEC Stadium, first in Morocco. That's where the match is going to be played. This is the 35th edition of the African Cup of Nations, and Morocco is playing host to 24 countries. Already, we have seen a lot of matches in this ongoing competition. We saw the first match between. We saw the first match played by the host Morocco, where they won their match by 2 goals to 0, where they defeated Comoros. Then we also saw Egypt. We saw Egypt and Zimbabwe. Egypt defeating Zimbabwe by 2 goals to 1. South Africa and Angola. South Africa winning by 2 goals to 1 as well. We saw Mali and Zambia also playing a 1-0 draw. And then just before coming in here, the match between Senegal and Botswana is ongoing. And then as it is now, Senegal leads by 2 goals to 0. So we've seen interesting matches at the Nations Cup so far. How about the bicycle kick by the Moroccan player? And what's his name? Yakub El Kabi. We've seen a lot of fantastic goals so far in this competition. And today, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will take on the Taifa Stars. And that's when the match will be played by 6:30 p.m. Nigerian time. And then everybody, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, play beautiful football once again. We want to see them play delightful football once again. You know, at the last edition, about this time at the last edition, the Super Eagles of Nigeria played their first match as well. Their opening match at the last edition, it was against Equatorial Guinea. But then they played a 1-0 draw against Equatorial Guinea. Yeah, after playing against Equatorial Guinea, they went ahead to get to the final of the competition, and they only lost narrowly to Cote d'Ivoire in the final. But today we don't want a draw. In fact, we don't want the Super Eagles to draw today's match. We want them to go for an outright win in today's match. They should just go for an outright win today's match, and then pick the 3 maximum points. And in their next match against Tunisia, they should just go for a win as well and make Nigerians happy. So the Super Eagles of Nigeria will play the Taifa Stars of Tanzania today, December 23, by 6:30 p.m. Nigerian time. Talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria and Tanzania, they are both in Group C of the African Cup of Nations, alongside teams like Tunisia and Uganda. I mean, we have Uganda in the team, we have Uganda in the group, and we also have Tunisia. That's Group C. And then talking about Tanzania is a compact team. You know, they play compact football, and then they're very organized. They are really organized. They shouldn't be underrated in this match at all, because in the qualifiers, they were in the same group. They were in the same group with DR Congo, Tanzania, Guinea. Okay, they were in the same group with DR Congo, Guinea, and Ethiopia, and they qualified ahead of Guinea. In that same group, they qualified ahead of Guinea. They defeated Guinea in the 2 fixtures. You know, they defeated them in the first leg by 2 goals to 1, and in the second leg as well. They also won the match by 1 goal to 0. They qualified ahead of Guinea in the group. They finished with 10 points. Guinea finished with 9 points, and as a result, Guinea will not be participating in this year's African Cup of Nations. And don't forget, at the last edition, Guinea participated. They were there. Guinea were also at the 2019 edition, but because they lost to Tanzania twice in the qualifiers, they are not going to partake in this ongoing African Cup of Nations. And we all know that Guinea is a formidable squad. Talk about the player like Ciro Girassi, and then they've got quality players. Guinea is missing out of the World Cup, so Tanzania should not be underrated. They are also a quality side. They shouldn't be underrated at all, especially looking at the way they fared in the qualifiers. They finished with only 2 points behind DR Congo in the qualifiers, so they shouldn't be underrated in this match. Looking at the Super Eagles of Nigeria and Tanzania, the last time the Super Eagles of Nigeria and Tanzania played against each other at the African Cup of Nations was in the group stage. That was in 1980. That was when they played. That was 45 years ago, 1980, in the group stage. And the Super Eagles of Nigeria defeated Tanzania by 3 goals to 1 with Muda Lawal, Shegun Degba scoring goals for Nigeria. 45 years ago, looking at Shegun Degba now, Shegun Degba, by this time, for you to know that it's been a very long time the Super Eagles of Nigeria played against Tanzania. Looking at the likes of who scored against Tanzania, then Shegun Degba and the late Muda Lawal, those were the players that scored against Tanzania then, and we defeated them by 3 goals to 1, and that was the very first time we met them. That was the very first time the Super Eagles of Nigeria played against Tanzania, and we've also gone ahead to play with them. So we went ahead to play with them, like talking about head-to-head record, we've met them 7 times. That's the meeting between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and Tanzania. We've met them 7 times. So the Super Eagles of Nigeria are ranked 38 in the world, while Tanzania are ranked 112 in the world in the December rankings, because the rankings for December were released, and then the Super Eagles of Nigeria maintained their spot on the FIFA rankings. So we are still 38 in the world, while Tanzania also maintained their own spot as well on the FIFA ranking. Tanzania are 112 in the world, but as we all know, FIFA rankings do not play football. It is 11 against 11, and it is a side that is well determined and well tactical that will carry the day at the end of everything. Because looking at the group the Super Eagles of Nigeria were in the qualifiers for the Nations Cup, the Super Eagles of Nigeria were in the same group with teams like Rwanda, Benin, the same countries we faced in the World Cup qualifiers that we couldn't qualify for the World Cup. Those are the same teams. Looking at Benin and Rwanda, they were also in the same group with the Super Eagles of Nigeria for the Afcon qualifiers, and we qualified at the Afcon qualifiers, but we couldn't really make it at the World Cup. So it shows that football is really a game of who is more determined, and it's really a game of tactics, and you understand what I'm saying? So that's what I'm just trying to say, that FIFA rankings do not really play football. It is the thing that is very, very much determined, and it is the thing that is highly tactical that will carry that will win any match. And then still talking about head-to-head record, still talking about Nigeria and Tanzania, looking at the 5 meetings that we have played against them in our last previous meetings, as I said earlier, our very first encounter with Tanzania was in 1980 at the group stage of the 1980 Nations Cup, where we defeated Tanzania by 3-1, with Shegun Odebami and the late Mola Lawal scoring for Nigeria, and then Onyedika also scored for Nigeria. It was a group match, and the Super Eagles of Nigeria won their they won their first title of the Afcon then. The first title the Super Eagles won was in 1980 at the 1980 Nations Cup. That was our very first title we won, and that was in 1980. And then we started by defeating Tanzania by 3-1. We also played against Tanzania in a World Cup qualifier later that year. That's in 1980. We made them in a World Cup qualifier, and we played a 1-1 draw with them. We also made them in our third match. We defeated them by 2-0. Then in 2017, in an Afcon qualifier, the Super Eagles of Nigeria played a goalless draw with Tanzania. And also in 2017, in the Afcon qualifier, the Super Eagles of Nigeria defeated Tanzania by 1-0. So this is our head-to-head record in the last 5 meetings. Between Nigeria and Tanzania, this is the head-to-head record. And looking at the Super Eagles of Nigeria, this is their 21st appearance at the African Cup of Nations. This is our 21st appearance at the African Cup of Nations. And the Super Eagles of Nigeria have won the African Cup of Nations 3 times. They won it in 1980, 1994, and they won it in 2013. Talking about 94 squad, talking about the likes of Sunday Olise, Daniel Amokachi, very star-studded team, Victor Ipeba, star-studded, Rashidi Yekini, very star-studded team. Talking about the USA 94 squad, very, very quality star-studded team. And that was also the Tunisia 94 squad. USA's World Cup, Tunisia 94 squad. Then in 2013 that we won it, talk about the likes of Joseph Yobo, Mikel Obi, Sunday Mba. Sunday Mba was the one that scored. It was the one that scored the winning goal against Burkina Faso in the final. That was the 2013 squad, and that was the last time the Super Eagles of Nigeria won the Afcon. 2013. That's 12 years ago. So we hope that this time around they will win it. We're so close at the last edition where we lost to. We're so close at the last edition where we lost to Cote d'Ivoire. We're so close at the last edition where we lost to Cote d'Ivoire by 2-1, where our former captain Troze Kong is not going to be playing in this competition. In his absence, we have Wilfred Ndidi that is going to be wearing the captaincy band. That's Wilfred Ndidi. So at the last edition, Troze Kong scored the first goal for us against Cote d'Ivoire in the final. Then before we could see anything, Cote d'Ivoire came back, and before we could even talk further, they won the match by 2-1. And so they won at home. They were at home and they won the Afcon at the expense of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So we were so close then. So this time around, we are going for our 4th title. Maybe we should just target mission, because when the Super Falcons of Nigeria, when they were going for the Afcon, they targeted mission X, and then they actually won it. They actually achieved the mission X. So maybe this time around, we can actually target mission IV. That's in the Roman era, or in the Roman figure. Or we can actually target mission 4, mission IV or mission 4. So they are going for their 4th title. And the last time the Super Eagles of Nigeria won it was in 2013. But for Tanzania, this is their 4th appearance at the African Cup of Nations. That's Tanzania. and Tanzania have never gone beyond the group stage of the African Cup of Nations. They want to fancy their chances of going beyond the group stage, but they have never gone beyond the group stage of the African Cup of Nations. And what a match we have today between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and Tanzania. The match we played by 6:30 p.m. Nigerian time, and then before we came in, we saw DR Congo and Benin Republic. DR Congo defeated Benin Republic by 1-0, and the match between Senegal and Botswana was also ongoing before coming in, and the match is 2-0 already in favor of Senegal. As in before coming into the studio, it's 2-0 already. Let's look at the groups for this Afcon. The groups. In Group A, we have countries like Comoros, Mali, Morocco, Zambia. In Group B, we have Angola, Egypt, South Africa, Zimbabwe. In Group C, we have the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We have Tanzania, Tunisia, and Uganda. Then in Group D, we have Benin, Botswana, DR Congo, Senegal. In Group E, we have Algeria, Burkina Faso, Equatorial Guinea, and Sudan. And in Group F, we have Cameroon, Gabon, Ivory Coast, and Mozambique. So these are the groups that will be playing at these are the countries that will be playing at the African Cup of Nations. We have 6 groups, and the top 2 teams from each group will qualify automatically for the round of 16. Then they will be joined by 4 best top place teams. So the top 2 teams alongside the 4 best top place teams will qualify automatically for the round of 16. And the Super Eagles of Nigeria have a very important match today against Tanzania. I mean, this match is very important to the Super Eagles of Nigeria because they know that Nigerians have not really forgotten about missing out of the World Cup. Or I really don't want to talk about what is happening about anything, but as far as I'm concerned, Nigerians have not really forgotten about what happened in the playoffs. And I'm sure that the Super Eagles of Nigeria really want to make up for it today. They want to put smiles on our faces and make us happy. And we really wish them the best in today's match against the Taifa Stars of Tanzania. Now looking at Nigeria, the Super Eagles of Nigeria are nicknamed Super Eagles, of course. They are nicknamed Super Eagles. They qualified for the 2025 African Cup of Nations by finishing first from Group D with 11 points in the qualifying series. And this is Nigeria's 21st appearance at the African Cup of Nations. And the Super Eagles of Nigeria have won the African Cup of Nations 3 times. They won it in 1980, 1994, and in 2013. And the Super Eagles of Nigeria are ranked 38th in the world. The head coach of Nigeria, of course, is Eric Chell. And Nigeria is a star-studded team. We've got quality. We really got quality players like Victor Osimhen, who plays for Galatasaray in Turkey, and who on the Champions League starts is the second highest goal scorer this season in the UEFA Champions League. He and Erling Haaland, they have 6 goals. He and Erling Haaland have 6 goals. Of course, Kylian Mbappe is the highest goal scorer so far in the Champions League this season. Kylian Mbappe has 9 goals, but the second or the joint second top scorer is Victor Osimhen alongside Erling Haaland. They both have 6 goals each. So for this to show that the Super Eagles of Nigeria has really got, it's really a star-studded team, and they've got an array of stars in this squad. We also have Ademola Lookman, who plays for Atalanta, and who seems to be finding his rhythm lately. Ademola Lookman has been finding his rhythm lately. Apart from Ademola Lookman, there is Alex Iwobi, who plays very well for Fulham. Anytime he dons the jersey of Fulham, it's very fantastic, it's very impressive. That's talking about Alex Iwobi. We've also got Calvin Bassey. We've got Calvin Bassey. We've got loads of talented players in the Super Eagles squad, and that's all about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And then looking at Tanzania, they are nicknamed Taifa Stars, and Tanzania qualified for the 2025 African Cup of Nations by finishing as runners-up from Group H with 10 points in the qualifying series. This is Tanzania's 4th appearance at the African Cup of Nations, and Tanzania have never gone beyond the group stage of the African Cup of Nations. Tanzania are ranked 112 in the world. The head coach of Tanzania is Miguel Gamondi. It wasn't the coach that qualified them for Afcon. Talk about Miguel Gamondi. Miguel Gamondi was not the coach that qualified. It wasn't the coach that qualified Tanzania for Afcon. It was changed, or it was replaced. Before Afcon started, but it wasn't the coach that qualified them for Afcon. Tanzania have players like Mbwana Samata. For Mbwana Samata, is a veteran player for Tanzania. He plays for the Ligue 1 club, Le Havre, in France, of course, Ligue 1 club. And he has 85 international caps for Tanzania. And then he's a very experienced player for Tanzania. He plays as a striker. That's talking about Mbwana Samata. And then they've also got Umsuva. For Umsuva has 99 international caps for Tanzania. If Umsuva plays today for Tanzania, he's going to make it his 100 international caps. He has 99 international caps for Tanzania. That's talking about Umsuva. He plays as a forward as well for Tanzania, and he has 99 international caps for Tanzania. So if he plays today, he's going to make it his 100 international cap for Tanzania. That's talking about Umsuva. Then they also have Faisal Salon. Faisal Salon plays as an attacking midfielder for Tanzania Premier League club, Azam FC. So most of these players from Tanzania, aside from the foreign-based players among them, most of them play for Young Africans. Some of them Azam FC. So most of them play for their local club. Aside from the foreign-based players among them, most of them play for their local clubs. That's talking about Tanzania players. So that's all about their profile. Now looking at the matches Nigeria played in the qualifiers, while preparing for the African Cup of Nations, the qualifiers, each team played 6 matches in the qualifiers for the Afcon. Each team played 6 matches. For the Super Eagles of Nigeria, in our first match in the qualifiers, we defeated Benin 3-0. In the second match, the Super Eagles played a goalless draw with Rwanda. In the third match, the Super Eagles of Nigeria defeated Libya 1-0. In the fourth match, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, in the fourth match, we actually did not get to play the fourth match because the Super Eagles of Nigeria actually traveled down to Libya. When we got there, they encountered some difficulties, and as a result of that, the match could not hold. So because of that, the matter was investigated into, and at the end of the day, the Super Eagles of Nigeria were awarded the maximum 3 points in that match, and they were given a 3-0 margin win in that match. So in our fourth match now, we have a 3-0 victory over Libya. Then in the fifth match, the Super Eagles of Nigeria played a 1-0 draw with Benin Republic. And the sixth match, the Super Eagles of Nigeria lost to Rwanda by 2-1. Before the sixth match, we already qualified for the African Cup of Nations before that sixth match. And so we didn't use most of our regulars. We didn't use them, but we lost the match anyway. So in all, in the qualifiers, Nigeria scored 9 goals and conceded 3 goals in the Afcon qualifiers. That's talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. In the Afcon qualifiers, they scored 9 goals and they conceded 3 goals. Now looking at Tanzania, the matches Tanzania played in the Afcon qualifiers. In the first match, Tanzania played a goalless draw with Ethiopia. Then in the second match, Tanzania defeated Guinea by 2-1. In the third match, excuse me please. In the second match, Tanzania defeated Guinea by 2-1. In the third match, Tanzania lost to DR Congo by 1-0. In the fourth match, DR Congo also defeated Tanzania by 2-0. In the fifth match, Tanzania defeated Ethiopia 2-0. And in the sixth match, Tanzania defeated Guinea 1-0. So Tanzania defeated Guinea twice in the qualifiers. So as a result of that, Guinea is not in this Afcon. They are not here right now because Tanzania picked up the second spot from the group. So in all, in the qualifiers, Tanzania scored 5 goals and they conceded 4 goals in the qualifiers. Now, so those are the matches played by Tanzania in the qualifiers for the Afcon. Now, looking at Tanzania's squad for this Afcon, for their goalkeepers, we have Yakub Suleiman, who plays for Simba SC in Tanzania. They also have Hussein Masalanga, who plays for Singida BS. There's Zubeiru Foba, who plays for Azam FC. Then for the defenders, we have Bakari Nwamyeto, who plays for Young Africans. We have Shomari Kapombe, who plays for Simba SC. There's Musajo Unwaikenda, who plays for Azam FC. Then there's Mohamed Hussein, who plays for Young Africans. We have Nixon. They actually have many defenders. Like they have 12 defenders. So there's also Nixon Kiba Bage, who plays for Simba SC. There's Alphonse Nkwabule, who plays for Shamaki in Azerbaijan. There's Lucien Onang, who plays for Simba SC. There's Novatus Dismas, who plays for Göztepe FC in Turkey. There's Kelvin Ashun, who plays for Tanda Gigi. There's Pascal Umsindo, who plays for Azam FC. There's Aji Unoga. Talking about Aji Unoga, he plays as a defender for the championship, for the EFL League 2. He's actually in England. He's the League 2 side in England, Salford City. He plays as a defender. He's a youngster, but he's a very good defender. Very, very good defender. And then I'm talking about Mohamed Hussein as well, who plays for Young Africans. He also has experience when it comes to defense. When it comes to defending, he's got the experience for Tanzania. So that's talking about Mohamed Hussein. They also have Dixon Job, who plays for Young Africans. So those are their defenders. For the midfielders, we have Ibrahim Abdullah, who plays for Young Africans. We have Abibu Idi, who plays for Senginda BS. We have Tarin Aluche, who plays for Rochdale AFC in England. There's Charles Mombua, who plays for Floriana FC in Malta. There's Maurice Abraham, who plays for Simba SC. There's Fisa Salom, who plays for Azam FC. There's Ahmed Pipino, who plays for Azam FC as well. There's Abdul Suleiman, who plays for Azam FC. And there's Idi Suleiman. Who plays for Azam FC. Then for the forwards, we have Umbwana Samantha. I mentioned his name earlier. Umbwana Samantha is an experienced player for them. He plays as a striker for them, and he plays for the French Ligue 1 club, Le Havre, in France, of course. And he has 85 international caps for Tanzania. They also have Elias Maguli, who plays for Azam FC. They have Shomari Lawi, who plays for Albok BK in Denmark. Then they have Simon Umsuva, who plays for Al Talaba in Iraq. I'm talking about Simon Umsuva. He has 99 international caps for them. Of course, he plays as a forward, and he has 99 international caps for Tanzania. If he gets to play for them today, it make it his 100 international caps already for Tanzania. He's very experienced for them. So this is the squad for Tanzania. It's a 28-man squad. So this is their squad for this Afcon. Now looking at the Super Eagles of Nigeria, for Nigeria squad for Afcon. For the goalkeepers, we have Stanley Nwabali, who plays for Chippa United in South Africa. There's Amos Obasoge, who plays for Senginda Black Stars in Tanzania. There's Francis Uzor, who plays for Omonia FC in Cyprus. If you are just joining me, I'm doing the preview of the match between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Taifa Stars of Tanzania. The match will start in a few minutes from now. It will start by 6:30 p.m. Nigeria time. It will be played at the First Stadium in Morocco. In Morocco. And already we've seen some scintillating matches already. Talk about the goal of the tournament scored by Moroccan player. Oh, fine. We are going to get to see we are going to get to see so much breathtaking goals anyway. But so far, that goal will be in contention for the goal of the tournament. So we've seen some spectacular goals already, and we've seen some interesting matches as well. Look at the match between Egypt and Zimbabwe. Very interesting match. Egypt won the match by 2-1. We saw stars like Omar Mamouche that plays for Manchester City, and he was so brilliant playing for the Egyptian. Talk about Omar Mamouche. And we also saw Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah scoring the winner against Zimbabwe. He scored the winner, and then he was really very happy with that goal. He was so delighted scoring that goal, and then he really celebrated the goal. He was so delighted scoring the goal. So we've seen a lot of interesting matches. We also saw the match between the Bafana of South Africa and Zimbabwe. We saw and Angola. South Africa and Angola. We saw South Africa defeating Angola by 2-1. So already we've been seeing so many interesting matches. And today again, we know that the match between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and Tanzania is not going to be an exception. It's going to be another thriller by 6:30 p.m. Nigerian time. And also tonight by 9 p.m. Nigerian time, Tunisia will play against Uganda by 9 p.m. Nigerian time. So we've got some breathtaking matches today, and we have already seen some interesting matches today as well. DR Congo earlier today defeated Benin Republic by 1-0. So we've seen interesting matches already today, and we have 2 more matches to go. Already before I came into the studio, Senegal was defeating Botswana by 2-0 before I stepped into the studio. So we are going to get the Super Eagles to play by 6:30 p.m. Nigerian time, while Tunisia and Uganda will play by 9 p.m. Nigerian time. The Super Eagles of Nigeria are in Group C alongside countries like Tunisia and Uganda. And of course, we are going to play Tanzania today. Talk about even 2013 squad when that the year. Talk about even 2013 squad when that the year even doing well there. They were brilliant. Because looking at it now, they won the Afcon for crying out loud. They won. Even then, we thought they were not doing well, but they won the Afcon. They were brilliant. The 1980 squad, the likes of Sachet Wondegba and the late Muna Lawal and then Christian Chukwu, they were very fantastic. Talk about the 1980 squad and then 1994 squad as well. Daniel Amokachi, Rashidi Yekini, Sunday Olise, Emmanuel Amunike. I mean, if I talk about the squad, that squad was like as if, somebody was talking at the time and it was like, don't let me just say this on the lighter note. The person was like that in 1994 squad. It was as if that squad was just thrown down like from heaven, like boom, Nigeria take this squad. That squad was star-studded, was brilliant, was fantastic. Everything. Talk about a very good team, that 1994 squad. Brilliant squad. They not only won the Afcon, they also went to the World Cup in USA 94 and they dazzled the world. They dazzled the world in USA 94. Talk about the 1994 squad. They won the Afcon in 1994 and they dazzled the world. They played against Bulgaria. Bulgaria that had the likes of Stoichkov. They defeated them 3-0. In fact, I can't even start talking about the USA 94 squad. As far as the Super Eagles of Nigeria is concerned, that squad is one of the best squad Nigeria has ever had. So, if not the best anyway. But the 1980 squad too is there. Talk about the likes of Sheikh Modegbami and then Moda Lawal and then the likes of and all the rest of the players like that. So yes, Tunisia 94 squad, another brilliant squad. And in 2013 when we won it, even when we thought that we were not doing it because we played Nigeria actually hosted that particular edition in 2013. Even when we thought that the guys were not doing well, they still got to the final. They got to the final and they won that Afcon. I remember in a particular match in that Afcon. I remember a particular match between Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire. Before the match, Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire, people were now asking people, sport pundits were talking, they were saying, who is going to win the match? Can you imagine scoreline? Then they were predicting in favor of Cote d'Ivoire because Cote d'Ivoire had the likes of Didier Drogba. They were not saying they would defeat us 3-0. You needed to see scoreline. I was just, all those scoreline. At the end of the day, the Super Eagles of Nigeria won that match by 2-1. And we went ahead and we won the Afcon. So the Super Eagles of Nigeria, this team, these Super Eagles, they've been very fantastic in the past, though, and we can still be fantastic today. Starting from today in this Afcon, we can still be fantastic. We can really be fantastic. The last time we won the Afcon was in 2013. Then just with we had the likes of Yobo Joseph, Mikel Obi in that squad. Yobo Joseph, Mikel Obi, Sunday Umba, they were the players in that squad, and that was the last time we won. That was 12 years ago. So we wanted to win it this time around because we were so close at the last edition. We were really close. Although at the last edition, when the Super Eagles were going, nobody gave them a chance. Not too many people even gave them a chance to get to the final. Even in our first match against Equatorial Guinea at the last edition, it ended in a draw. The way we started the Afcon, we started in a funny way against Equatorial Guinea. It ended in a draw. And in our second match, we had to play Guinea-Bissau. We had to play Guinea-Bissau in the group stage. We defeated Guinea-Bissau, but it was an own goal. Scored by Guinea-Bissau. And against Cote d'Ivoire in the third match, we defeated them. But then, not too many people were people were not really convinced then as well. They didn't give us a chance to get to the final. And when we got to the final, we got to the round of 16, we started defeating teams. We defeated the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, we defeated South Africa, and then we got to the final. But when we got to the final, and many people expected us to defeat Cote d'Ivoire because we had earlier defeated them in the group stage. But the narrative was different. We couldn't defeat them. And we were the first to score in that match. The second was the score to score, but the Super Eagles could not maintain that tempo. And Cote d'Ivoire came back and they won. And they won the match by 2-1 and they won the Afcon. So we were so close at the last edition. So hopefully this time around, the Super Eagles will also go as far as getting to the final and winning this Afcon to make Nigerians happy. So let me just go back to the squad I was reading. For the defenders, we have Calvin Bassey, he plays for Fulham FC in England. We have Oluwashimilo Gbajayi, who plays for Hull City in England. We have Bright Osayi Samuel, who plays for Birmingham City in England. We have Bruno Onyemachi, who plays for Olympiacos in Greece. There's Chidozie Awazi, who plays for Nantes FC in France. There's Zaidu Sanusi, who plays for FC Porto in Portugal. There's Igor Ogbu, who plays for Slavia Prague in Czech Republic. There is Ryan Alevioshi, who plays for Blackburn Rovers in England. Then for the midfielders, we have Alex Iwobi, who plays for Fulham FC in England. We have Frank Onyeka, who plays for Brentford FC in England. There is Wilfred Ndidi, who plays for Besiktas FC in Turkey. There is Rafael Onyedika, who plays for Club Brugge in Belgium. There is Tochukwu Onadi, who plays in Belgium. There is Fisayo Dele Bashir, who plays in Italy for Lazio. We have Ebenezer Akisomiro, who plays for Pisa SC in Italy. There is Usman Mohammed, who plays in Israel. Then for the forwards, we have Ademola Lookman, who plays for Atalanta BC in Italy. We have Samuel Chukwueze, who plays for Fulham FC in England. Victor Osimhen plays for Galatasaray FC in Turkey. Moses Simon plays for Paris FC in France. Chidera Ejuke plays for Sevilla FC in Spain. Akko Adams plays for Sevilla FC in Spain. Paul Onuachu plays for Trabzonspor AS in Turkey. Cyril Dessers plays for Panathinaikos FC in Greece. And there is Salim Fagolawa, who plays for NK Istra 1961 in Croatia. So these are the Super Eagles players that will be prosecuting the matches. This is our 28-man squad for this Afcon. So what's your take? Who do you think will win the match between Nigeria and Tanzania? We didn't need this match. We need the Super Eagles of Nigeria to gel in this match. Most people have been complaining about our midfield, that there's not so much creativity in that midfield. A lot of complaints. I was listening to a radio program 2 days ago, and one of the callers had to call in. I was talking about creativity in the midfield. The person was saying that the last time they actually played with serious creativity in the midfield was during JJ Okocha's time. And the person was asking the person that called in that, but you are saying that we will not be playing with creativity in the midfield. But even without JJ Okocha, we won the Afcon in 2013. We still found a way to win the Afcon in 2013, even without JJ Okocha. So the person was trying to tell the caller that he wasn't really making a point, saying that the last time the Super Eagles really shows flashes of creativity in the midfield was in 2013. But then lately, we've really been having a problem of midfield. Like, the Super Eagles, when they play these days, we don't see so much creativity. They don't seem to really press. The pressing is really not there these days when they play. But today we want the narrative to be different. Right from the blast of the whistle, we just want the narrative to be different. We want to see them make incursions into the opponent's area. We want to see them make use of the flanks. We want to see so much creativity in midfield from the Super Eagles of Nigeria today when they take on the Taifa Stars of Tanzania. And then things like the coach of Tanzania was actually saying that if they win today's match, that if they win today's match or if they draw today's match, that it will be as if they won an Afcon. Can you imagine? That's the way they rate us. They actually rate us very high. Saying that if they win today's match, it's as if they won the Afcon and they'll be fulfilled. Can you imagine? So against such a team, the Super Eagles have to really raise their game. They have to up their game against a team who thinks that winning them is like winning an Afcon. That means they really rated them high. And the players will go all out, really want to, in football, there's nothing like underdogs in football. There's like minnows in football. They have to go out and play. They have to play their game. So from what the coach of Tanzania said is, from what he said, it shows that the Super Eagles of Nigeria, they really have to bring in their A game today. They must really play today. For him to say that if they win today's match is like winning an Afcon, that means that the Super Eagles must really step up their game today. They must really step up their game today. And looking at the matches that have been played so far in this Afcon, on Sunday, that was the opener of the Afcon. That was the very first match. Morocco defeated Comoros by 2-0. That was the first match of this Afcon. Morocco defeated Comoros by 2-0. Then yesterday, Monday, Mali played a 1-0 draw with Zambia. Then we also saw South Africa defeating Angola 2-1. Egypt defeated Zimbabwe 2-1. Then today already, DR Congo defeated Benin 1-0. Then the match between Senegal and Botswana, as at when I stepped in here, was still 2-0 in favor of Senegal. From the Senegalese side, we got to see players like Sadio Mane, we got to see players like Nicolas Jackson. The Senegalese side is the star of the team, and they really entertained us with the way they played. In fact, before they even scored the goal, they were really so compact with the way they were playing their football. They played the compact football with the way they were playing, and then they made it count by scoring 2 goals already. That was why I stayed there anyway. And by 6:30 p.m. Nigerian time, Nigeria will take on the Taifa Stars of Tanzania. By 9 p.m. Tunisia and Uganda will also slug it out. They are the same group with Nigeria. So Tunisia will take on Uganda by 9 p.m. So by that time, when we are watching Tunisia Uganda, we should have seen the result of the match between. Of course, we will know the match between. We will know the result of the match between Nigeria and Tanzania. Then tomorrow, Wednesday, that's December 24. Burkina Faso will take on Equatorial Guinea. That's 1:30 p.m. Nigerian time. Algeria will take on Sudan, 4 p.m. Nigerian time. Ivory Coast will take on Mozambique. That's 6:30 p.m. Nigerian time. Cameroon will take on Gabon, 9 p.m. Nigerian time. These matches will be played tomorrow by 9 p.m. And these matches will be played tomorrow. So after tomorrow's matches, the group and the match, the matches will have been completed. By the way, I want to wish you, my viewers, compliment of the season. It's Afcon, and then I really forgot to wish you compliment of the season. So I'm wishing you compliment of the season. I wish you was the best in this Christmas period, in this festive period. I wish you was the very best. When you're eating your chicken and everything, don't forget also, please. When you're eating your chicken and your rice and your jollof rice and your fried rice and your coleslaw, everything, don't forget us, please. But anyway, that was just on a lighter note. Compliment of the season to you, our viewers. Okay, so let me just read out the goal scorers in this tournament already. We've seen a lot of goals already. So let me just read out the goal scorers. We have Ayub El Kabi scoring for Morocco. There's Brian Bass, the guy that plays for Real Madrid, also scored one for Morocco. We saw Lyle Foster scoring for South Africa. Lasins Nayoko scoring for Mali. Also Napoli scoring for South Africa. Pascal Draka scoring for Zambia. Then Show scoring for Angola. Omar Mamouche scoring for Egypt. Mohamed Salah, we can't stop talking about Mohamed Salah because for Liverpool, he has really paid his dues for Liverpool. As in, he has done very well for Liverpool. He has been very brilliant for Liverpool, and then also he has been able to replicate that in the Egyptian national team. So yesterday we saw him scoring the winner against Zimbabwe, and that's to show you that in this competition, teams are not to be underrated at all. Look at Zimbabwe and Egypt yesterday. Zimbabwe were even the first to score. Zimbabwe were the first to score in that match before Omar Mamouche equalized for Egypt, and then Salah scored the winning goal. Zimbabwe were the first to score. So it shows that FIFA ranking does not play football. It shows that stars do not play football. Football is about the team that is more determined and the team that is more tactical. Yesterday, Zimbabwe really put up a good fight against Egypt. They actually came out against Egypt, and then Egypt had to defeat them based on their the Egyptians were so talented and they are very tactical, so they just had to edge them out based on that. But then yesterday we saw Zimbabwe putting up a good fight in that match. So it shows that no team is to be underrated. We cannot underrate any team at all. So the Super Eagles of Nigeria today against Tanzania will just go all out and win this match. In our last edition, that was at the last Afcon. Our opening match ended in a draw. We don't want that today. We want them to go and outright win. That's the way Nigerians will be happy with them again. That's the way they will get to win the trust of Nigerians. They should not go for an outright win against Tanzania. The Super Eagles of Nigeria are ranked 38th in the world. Tanzania are ranked 112 in the world. So we want to see the best from the Super Eagles of Nigeria today. So Omar Mamouche scored for Egypt. Mohamed Salah has also scored one goal for Egypt. Prince Dube has scored a goal for Zimbabwe. And Theo Bongonda has scored one goal for DR Congo. So these are the goal scorers in this Afcon already. Now, let's look at Nigeria at the last Afcon. At the last Afcon, in the first match, as I said earlier, it was a draw. We played a 1-0 draw with Equatorial Guinea. Then in the second match, the Super Eagles of Nigeria defeated Ivory Coast by 1-0 with William Troost-Ekong scoring a penalty for Nigeria in the match. Then in the third match, the Super Eagles of Nigeria defeated Guinea-Bissau by 1-0. It was an own goal. It was Guinea that scored. They scored against themselves, so that it was an own goal. And we're in Group A. So in that group, Equatorial Guinea finished first. They finished first from that group with 7 points. Nigeria was second with 7 points as well. But we had a lower goal difference than Equatorial Guinea. Ivory Coast were third in that group with 3 points. And Ivory Coast qualified as one of the best third place teams in that group. Guinea-Bissau were fourth in that group. They had no points. They lost all their matches. Then in the round of 16, the Super Eagles of Nigeria defeated the indomitable Lions of Cameroon. The Super Eagles scored again, and then we won that match. So that was one of the best matches the Super Eagles played at the last edition of the Afcon against Cameroon. It was one of the best matches by Nigeria. That match was very brilliant. We saw the Super Eagles of Nigeria going on going on out. In their passes, they were flawless. In their passes, they were really brilliant. They made good passes, they pressed, they did everything in that match. That's something about a match against Cameroon. They were so brilliant in that match. That was the round of 16 match. Then in the quarterfinals, the Super Eagles of Nigeria defeated Angola 1-0. Ademola Lookman also scored a goal for Nigeria in that match as well. So we really want to see the best from Ademola Lookman today, because Ademola Lookman has really been instrumental in this Nigeria, especially in our last Afcon. It was instrumental to our getting to the final. He and Osimhen, because talking about Osimhen was more like a playmaker in that team last year. He couldn't score much goals, but was everywhere. You see Osimhen in the defense, you see him in the middle. You're going to see Wilfred Ndidi taking over the role of the captain for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. In our final match, we lost to Ivory Coast by 2-1 after we were the first to score. We were the first to score in that match. After scoring, then the Ivorian just came all out, started playing brilliant football. And I could say that, in fact, at a point I was like, what happened? In fact, we couldn't really understand what happened. All we knew was that at the end of the match, Ivory Coast won the match. It was the Super Eagles that had the drive, that had the edge. They scored, they were playing well, but all of a sudden, everything just changed. And before we knew it, Ivory Coast scored 2 goals and they won that match. And so they won the Afcon. So the Super Eagles of Nigeria have only won 3 Afcon. And we are going for our 4th title. Hopefully, we get to win the 4th title. Hopefully, we get to win the 4th title this year. Hopefully, we get to win the 4th title. Now, for Tanzania were also at the last African Cup of Nations. They were at the last Afcon, and they were in Group F